This week on Bearcat Update, Northwest tennis coach Mark Rosewell collected his 1,000th victory, as well as the tennis teams were back in action. Northwest baseball and softball were also back in action this past week with a couple of doubleheaders. And Northwest football player Keaton Hulett stops by for an interview, as well as Dante Jones, the producer of Bearcat Update. Bearcat Update is coming up next.
Bearcat Update is sponsored by St. Francis Hospital and Health Services.
Good evening and welcome into this semester's final edition of Bearcat Update. I'm Chris Roush. We begin tonight with the Northwest Missouri State tennis team. Last week, head coach Mark Rosewell recorded his 1,000th victory. Bearcat Update reporter Morgan Jones sat down with Coach Rosewell.
Leading Northwest team to 25 MIAA championships, head tennis coach Mark Rosewell received his 1,000th career victory.
Morgan, I think it's great because it marks the consistency we've had with the program. I think we've had 6 or 7 championships where both the men and the women won at the same year in 3 decades, which is really an outstanding accomplishment. And I'm certainly proud of that.
Ranking 3rd in the region, Northwest tennis teams, both men and women, have improved since last year's season.
We've been 1 and 2, so we're at the top. So again, consistent where they're both in the region. That's pretty good stuff with a week and a half of the season left to go.
Every coach has that one memorable game that he remembers off top. Both men and women tennis teams here at Northwest have been to the championship at the same time.
That's so hard to do. I don't think any other team has ever done it before, except for Northwest. Maybe Southwest Baptist one time, but that's it.
Still working on finishing out this year strong, you can expect more good things underway from both men and women's tennis teams.
We're having a good year, and we're hoping for postseason. We're hoping to compete and try to win the championships next weekend in Springfield, Missouri, and then go on to the NCAA regionals. And right now, I think we've got a good chance with both teams, assuming we don't have any injuries or something at this point.
Reporting for Bearcat Update, I am Morgan Jones.
Thanks, Morgan. The Bearcat tennis team took on the University of Missouri Kansas City last Thursday. The Bearcats fell to UMKC in 5 of 6 single competitions. The lone victory for the Bearcats came with Alvaro Riveros winning 6-3 and 7-6. In doubles competition, UMKC took 2 of the 3 matches. Joseph Altman and Finn Glowick picked up the victory 9-8 for Northwest. The season is winding down for the Northwest men's and women's tennis teams. The men will take on Emporia State Tuesday in Emporia and will host Graceland University Wednesday afternoon. The women's team will conclude its regular season down in Emporia, Kansas for a matchup with Emporia State on Tuesday. The Northwest Missouri State Bearcat baseball team was back in action this past weekend. The Bearcats hosted the Washburn Ichabods in a 4-game series Thursday and Friday. Northwest lost Game 1 of the doubleheader 7-2 and lost Game 2 10-3. On Friday, Northwest lost Game 1 9-5 and then dropped Game 2 13-5. Northwest sits at 19-24 overall and 14-18 in the MIAA, entering the last week of the season. The Bearcats will travel to St. Joseph to take on the Missouri Western State Griffins in a 4-game series beginning on Friday. The Bearcats softball team hosted Truman State last Tuesday. Northwest split the doubleheader with Truman State as the Bearcats won Game 1 11-9 and fell in a close contest 9-8 in Game 2. Northwest was back in action Friday afternoon against MIAA opponent, the University of Central Missouri Jennies. The Bearcats lost Game 1 4-1, but picked up a victory in a low-scoring affair 2-1 in Game 2. Northwest now sits at 21-21 overall and 13-9 in the MIAA. The Bearcats will host Emporia State Friday in a doubleheader and then Washburn Saturday afternoon in a doubleheader to conclude the regular season. When we come back here on Bearcat Update, Bearcat football player Keaton Hulett will join me for an interview.
Bearcat Update is sponsored by St. Francis Hospital and Health Services.
And welcome back into Bearcat Update. Joining me now is Bearcat football player Keaton Hulett. Keaton, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You know, spring season's winding down for you guys. Just got done this past weekend. But going into the spring season, what was kind of your outlook for the defensive front as well as yourself?
When we started the spring, we knew we were going to be pretty young. The seniors, we lost a lot of seniors last fall, a lot on the D-line. And we just kind of had to get back into it and start to realize, you know, we're young, we got to get going, figure things out, and take care of business.
And you talked about losing some of those key players from last year on the defensive side of the ball, guys like Matt Longacre, DJ Nader, and the linebacking core, Eric Reimer. But specifically Matt Longacre, him on the front line, how did he kind of help you as well as the other defensive linemen, the younger guys, kind of get ready even coming into the spring season?
He's a great role model. You know, he knows how to play the game. He knows the little techniques and simple things like that. So if you ask him any questions, he'll help you out anytime. And he was just left the legacy for us as young kids and just showed us what we needed to do and how we needed to work to be a top-notch defensive player in the MIAA and then D2.
Now,
football.
this past Friday was the spring game, ended in a tie, 14-14, kind of questionable ending of the game for you guys. But overall, from the spring game, what was kind of your outlook on how the defense performed?
We played really well as a defensive unit all spring, and that was our focus. We were focused on flying around the football. We knew we were going to be young, like I said before, but if we fly around and do things right and play with good enthusiasm and intensity, then a lot of things can happen.
And one thing a lot of the fans noticed, as well as I noticed, throughout the whole scrimmage, Coach Wright was always fired up the entire time. It may have been a spring game, but he was still fired up. How does his passion kind of translate to you guys on the defensive side of the ball?
He gets you fired up. Coach Wright's a really enthusiastic man, and he'll get in you and he'll tell you what you're doing wrong. But on the side note, he'll help you and do everything he can for you. And when we went out at the beginning of the game, he told us, treat it like it's a game. Treat it like you're playing on a Saturday night against 10,000 people, and just those kind of things just kind of help you get ready and prepared. It's that time of year again.
Now, you guys will be gearing up for the fall here in a couple of months, but this kind of right now, from where your standpoint is, how do you feel going into the fall this year?
I feel really well. I had surgery my first year in here, my redshirt year, and I kind of been bouncing back from that and still had problems with it. But I've learned a lot from it, and you kind of gotta don't take anything for granted and keep working. So this spring was important for me, and it helped me out a lot and kind of geared me towards where I'm going to be at in the fall. And you get pretty excited for it. What
are some things maybe you want to work on in the off season, or just as a defensive line as a whole unit? What's some things you guys want to work on?
We just need to work on the little things, the fundamentals, and do things right. I mean, because like I said, we're going to be young again, and you just got to do the little things and play as a unit, not just as a single person. And if you play as a unit, you'll make plays. Now, wrapping up here a little bit, just talk about your journey here to Northwest. How did you become a Bearcat and become here part of Northwest? Well, high school football, you have good kids here and there, and I enjoyed football a lot in high school. And I kind of wasn't for sure what I wanted to do, and Coach Osborne contacted me, and we kind of got to know each other through, emails, phone calls, and he came down to visit a couple times. And Northwest, I visited on campus, like athletic visit, and loved the place. Love the people, great community. So it was just a hard decision not to go against. And I mean, right now, as I sit down and look at it, I'm starting my third year in the fall on the field, and it's just something that I'm glad I did. All right, Keaton, thank you for coming on tonight, and also good luck this season. Thank you, I appreciate it. When we come back here on Bearcat Update, producer Dante Jones joins me on set. Stay tuned.
Bearcat Update is sponsored by St. Francis Hospital and Health Services.
Welcome back into Bearcat Update, and this is our final segment of the semester. And joining me is Bearcat Update producer Dante Jones. Dante, year and a half as a producer. I've been here 2 years. You've been here 2 years overall as a reporter before that, but you've been a producer for a year and a half. What's this experience been like for you?
Man, it has been a ride, but enjoyable ride. Nothing too crazy, and I learned a lot along the way. I met a lot of good people, and it's just been a great experience.
Each semester there's a lot of turnover with every show here at KNWT, a lot of new faces, but the last year and a half for me, you've been the same face coming through that door. For you to see all the other reporters and all the other producers, or the producers in progress, so to speak, that come through, what have you seen from this Bearcat Update over the couple of years?
Man, it's grown, like you said, there's the numbers of crew varies every semester, so there's been semesters where we've had 2 people, or like this year we've had 6. It just varies, and I've just seen, the change. And like I said, I've met a lot of people, just seen the way different people work and their work ethic, and just all that just mixed together. I just got to see a lot of things being a producer. But like I said, it's been fun, and I think it's going in the right direction, most definitely.
And I think one of the more interesting semesters we've had is actually this semester. I mean, we've seen the dynamic changing in sports media, a lot more female announcers getting into it, and there was 5 female reporters on the staff this year. We'd never had that before.
Never.
You came up to me and said, hey, there's only like 2 guys on the staff this year, and, which is weird, but it's a really good dynamic to have that difference, and it's really showing where everything's going now.
Yeah, and I think it's a great thing. When I came up to you, it wasn't like it was a bad thing. It was just like, man, this is something different.
Yeah.
I think it's panned out very well. Those women did a great job this semester, and pack-wise, and getting the community their sports news. So I think it's been well.
Now, looking back over the year and a half, or we can go 2 years, heck, I don't care. We can go back over either one of those. And just seeing either the good times, bad times, good moments, horrible nights we're here for 4 or 5 hours, or the nights we had to come back at 10 o'clock at night, reshoot a whole hour worth of stuff because either it got deleted or there wasn't enough space for it. What's that one memory, or is there even that one memory you can think of?
Man, to be honest, I think I would be here all night trying to think of that one memory, because it's been so many times. We've had problems, or we've had good times, but it's been a ride, man. That's all I can say. It's been a ride. We've had a lot of good times and bad times, a lot of ups and downs, but each week we managed to find a way, and crank out a show for this community and get BCU on the air. So.
Now, before you became the producer, you're kind of under Andrew Benson's wing for a semester. You had your Chiefs corner. Everything was decked out in red. You were decked out in red.
Yep.
When you were starting that Chiefs corner and being a reporter, did you think you were going to move right in that producer role 2 months later?
I really didn't. At that point, I was just trying to find myself, being new into the department and everything like that. And so, like, being on BCU, I was just trying to learn the ins and the outs. And before I knew it, I had the opportunity to be the producer. I was asked by Andrew. And, it kind of took me, back a little bit. I was like, man, this is a big responsibility here. But, I learned a lot, like I said, and it's been great. And so I wouldn't change anything. It's been great.
All right, Dante, it's been a pleasure working with you for the past 2 years.
Hey, same for you, Chris, man.
Well, thanks, man.
We're like brothers, for real. Brothers from another mother. And
that's fair.
Different shades.
Right.
Anyway.
But it's been a pleasure working with you the last 2 years, Dante. And that will do it for Bearcat Update this semester. I'd like to thank all of our reporters and our producers, Morgan Jones, Taylor Carter, Bria Creedon, Taylor Edmond, as well as Angela Luna, Adam Bocart, Chelsea Harden, as well as Preston Kralachek. I'm Chris Roush, signing off for the final time. Have a good night.